Back run of the end zone. Touchdown, Huskers! Isaiah Hunter for the Husker touchdown.
Who do you think you're fooling? Nobody's thinking about their job the day before a Husker game.
Pills the throw. Blitz picked up. Harris went out deep right sideline. 50-50 ball. It's picked off. The black shirts with the dagger. Malcolm Hertzog with a giant pick. Sails the night for the Big Red. Drifts back to throw, dumps it to an underneath crosser. Goody made the catch, got popped. Ball's loose, but they say incomplete.
This is the Friday Husker Tailgate with Jack Mitchell, Nate Rohr, John Bishop, and Kevin Sjuts on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1400 KLIN.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Welcome to the Friday Husker Tailgate Wednesday edition. Glad to have you with us. Yes, we've done the Friday game day edition this year. We've done the Friday bye week edition, and now we are doing the Friday Wednesday edition of the Friday Husker Tailgate. I am Jack Mitchell with Nate Rohr and Kenny Larrabee producing our video today, which you can watch on KLIN's YouTube, Twitter pages, or you can go to my Twitter page and you can watch it there if you would like to and catch our beautiful faces in the studio. Kevin Sjuts will join us during the 8 o'clock hour. John Bishop not with us today. I don't know what he's doing this week, though. I guess I hadn't heard much about what he's up to, so I just know he couldn't be here.
Are we sure he's not in jail for going after that ref the way he did?
I think he's fine. I was emailing. I've been texting with him a little bit, so I can confirm he's not in. I'll tell you what kind of jail he is in. Creighton's never winning jail, which is my favorite kind of jail.
Yes, lock him up.
So lock him up.
Lock him
Man,
up.
I'm already having fun with him not here.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
Let's go.
We will have a tribute to John Bishop later in the show. And again, did not die, is not in jail. Is just
to our knowledge,
just sleeping in Las Vegas at 4 a.m. there right now. I think he was thinking about joining us at the end of the show today, and then I think maybe it's been a long week for him.
Yeah, I got to imagine.
So I think his phone's been blowing up for a while. If you don't know what we're talking about, we'll explain a little bit later, but
we'll get there.
It seems like the whole world knows, and literally the whole world knows now what we are talking about with him. So you got Nate and me and Sjuts coming up a little bit later, but we're here to get you ready for Nebraska and Iowa. Black Friday, 11 a.m. pregame here on the network, giving
7 a.m. pregame.
Kickoff. What did I say? Kickoff. I had the kickoff and whatever. People know. 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Game starts at 11. With this, we will not have the kickoff before the pregame this year.
No.
So 7 a.m. pregame, 11 a.m. Kickoff here, preempting LNK today with Jack and friends. So, which is good because that means I can sleep and Nate can get out to the stadium to do some PA work. If you are wondering and you're going to the game about exactly what the conditions are going to be like, the updated to the second National Weather Service game day forecast for kick at 11 o'clock a.m. is showing temperature at kickoff 32 degrees, wind chill 23 degrees.
Ooh, yeah.
Wind coming out of the northwest at 13 miles an hour, gusts to 23, 4% chance of precipitation. We go by to the end of the game at 2 o'clock. We will be all the way up to a temperature of 36 degrees and a wind chill of 26. Bad news is the wind's going to be a decent amount stronger by the end of the game than it will at the beginning. Gusts up to 30 miles an hour, which is still child's play compared to what happened yesterday. But nonetheless, cloudy skies as well. Then up to a 10% chance of precipitation. There is you start to get a chance for precipitation late into Friday, but for right now, any snow or rain looks like that will be holding off into the evening hours, and then more likely on Saturday morning that Lincoln will see some of that rain turning in to snow. So Cold and windy. Yes. Cold,
Yeah.
windy, cloudy. As of right now, doesn't look like we'll have precip. If you are wondering about a full Thanksgiving weekend forecast, we're going to have Ken Dewey, Dr. Ken Dewey to you, give us a full forecast on Drive Time Lincoln this afternoon at 5:35 with the very latest in the storm models, how that could impact the game, how that could impact travel. Getting back here on Sunday, which probably could be the most interesting of all of those things. Or for Iowa fans, if this weather's really going to affect anyone, it is people traveling back to Iowa.
Yes.
After the game is what it looks like to me. So
maybe just don't come if
just
you're
don't
an
come.
Iowa fan. If you're listening to us,
there's no need.
behind enemy lines,
There's no need for you to.
just-
Yeah, this is going to be one of those games where everybody, you know who all the hunters are, right? Because
yes,
they're wearing the
blaze orange.
Yes, they're wearing their hunter gear, their hunting gear that is very bright colored. This is one of them when you hear the hands clapping, you just hear the muffled, the gloves hitting together. So hopefully still a lively crowd there against Iowa. I will be safe and sound in my warm house. Maybe a fire going and a warm beverage with me during the course of that game. Nate, of course, will be doing PAs. He always does at Memorial Stadium. So what about the game itself? Well, you couldn't have designed much more of a kind of a discouraging situation for a 1 week period going into this game in terms of what happened on the field with that Penn State game, 37-10, and Nebraska, outside of a good drive at the beginning of the game that didn't net any points, just really never felt like they were in it after that, although it wasn't until the second quarter that Penn State took the lead on this game. Nebraska tied it up, but that second half of the second quarter, you really started to feel pretty not good, and that's what it ended up being for Nebraska, giving up 231 yards rushing to Penn State, only able to get 131 yards rushing themselves, and total offense. Actually, Nebraska ended up with 318, Penn State with 412 yards of offense on Nebraska. Emmett Johnson still did go over 100 yards rushing. TJ Lateef on his second start, 21 for 37 for 187 yards, 15 yards rushing with that touchdown he had during the game. But Nate, the bottom line is, I think Nebraska fans, I think that took a lot of wind out of the sails in terms of their confidence going into this Iowa game.
For a variety of reasons. I mean, yes, Penn State has two elite running backs in Singleton and in Allen. But look, this is an Iowa team that's going to run the football. They want to run the ball. They are quite happy to ground and pound. The weather conditions are going to be perfect for that. And, you were hopeful that coming out of a bye, they would be able to cook up a scheme to hold themselves in that game. And maybe what was more disturbing for me than just what Penn State was able to do on the ground, because we figured they were going to be able to run the ball some.
Mm-hmm.
But there were more receivers wide open in that game than there had been in the prior 10. And John Butler, John Butler spoke to this week that, we were doing so much stuff to try and limit their running game, and it wasn't working, that it was leaving us exposed in coverage. So I would imagine that Nebraska's got a much simpler defensive game plan this week, which hopefully at least cuts down on the number of open receivers and makes Iowa one-dimensional now. Like
they kind of make that for themselves.
They kind of want to go there anyway.
Yeah.
But, the other really disturbing thing is you talked about this, that it started out, Nebraska was able to move the ball that first drive. They go for it on fourth down, and we can discuss that in and of itself, but they don't get the fourth down. And Penn State gets a touchdown. That game's still 10-6, or it's still, or 10-3, right in the second quarter, early in the second quarter. And then Matt Rule used a word that set off alarm bells to me: collapse. because, if it's 10-3 partway through the second quarter, you're thinking, okay, we put together a couple of good drives. Yes, they're moving the ball, but if we can sustain something offensively, we can hang in this thing. And Nebraska just was not able to do that. And so, I get why people aren't feeling this game, are worried about this game. The one caveat I would put on that is that Iowa doesn't have the running backs that Penn State has. They're going to have to rely on Mark Gronowski, their quarterback, to run the ball about as much as anybody. I mean, Iowa, we talk about the four oarsmen, beginning of last year for Nebraska. I mean, Iowa has kind of a bell cow running back, but he's not all that good. They use up to four guys, and they're all pretty average. So, I mean, if you're able to get off blocks, you should be able to handle their running game. But, we know Iowa. And that was one other message that we've heard very often this week from the coaching staff. Schematically, there's nothing that's going to trick you. The problem is Iowa executes at such a high level that, it's the very simple stuff of blocking and tackling, and, especially the tackling part, and especially the anti-blocking part on defense, the getting off blocks. Nebraska's just not been very good at it.
Yeah, and we'll get more into this when we get into opposition disposition, but you're right. Their stats are interesting on offense because, as you said, they have 5 running backs with over 25 carries.
Yeah.
5 running backs with over 25 carries. The longest run of all of those is 43 yards.
Yeah.
And then the next longest after that is 24 yards. And so they have not been gouging people, although Moulton, who's their leading running back, he's got 138 carries. He's got 690 yards on the year. He is averaging 5 yards a carry. They'll bring in Patterson. He's averaging 5.2. Xavier Williams is averaging 5.9. So they are getting it. It kind of looks like, honestly, it looks like Emmett Johnson's stats his junior year is what it looks like, or his sophomore year. And Moulton, though, their top running back, has 2 touchdowns this whole year.
Sure.
Right. Then Williams has 3.
Running the ball so much.
Gronowski's got the vast majority of their rushing touchdowns. He's got 13 touchdowns, and he is their second leading rusher. And he does have a 67-yarder. He does have the more chunk plays of any of their running backs. And so, he's the biggest threat. And I think especially to Nebraska, given that Penn State game aside, they've been gashed more by running quarterbacks, I think, even more so sometimes than running backs. And then, Iowa's passing game is Iowa's passing game again. Their leading receiver is Jacob Gill, 22 receptions on the year for 260 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, they have 5 different players with 1 touchdown and 1 with 2 receiving.
This is if you can get an early lead as Nebraska, this game gets very interesting. Now, the thing is that even if you go up 10-0 on Iowa or 14-0 on Iowa, dare to dream, they're still going to be Iowa. They're still going to run the ball. They're still going to run clock. They want to, this is, and with the weather being the way it is, it's going to be a Big Ten West football game. It's going to be ground and pound. It's going to be low possession, and it's going to be who can run the ball the best. Really, that's going to be the winner in this game. So you're hopeful that whatever Nebraska is kicking up defensively, they're able to limit the run game. And I don't know what that looks like. That's the other thing is. You really don't feel like Nebraska's had an effective run defense because, the defensive line hasn't come around. They've shown blips and little things, but you just don't feel like they have space eaters. Guys that are big enough to chew up the Iowa blockers to where, Javen Wright goes nuts and makes a million plays, or Marquez Watson Trent does it, or whomever. It's tough to see a defensive path to victory for Nebraska. Offensively, look, they somehow by some miracle put up 21.
Right.
I think they won this game.
Well, and Iowa's defense is solid like it always is. Rushing defense 14th in the nation, passing defense 12th in the nation, total defense 8th in the nation, right? So scoring defense 8th in the nation. So it's very typical. They've been very solid against the run and against the pass this year. And frankly, it might just kind of be Emmett Johnson,
Yeah.
It might be Emmett Johnson, maybe his last game in Memorial Stadium. We'll see about that. We can talk about that a little bit later in the show, but he still is the best running back on the field.
Oh yeah,
between the two teams. And it might be, that might be how the game is won, by having the best running back on the field.
Sure.
Perhaps. If you're looking at a way it happens, I think that is the most likely one.
He's not just the best running back on the field by far. I think he's the best offensive weapon on the field. There's just nobody on that Iowa offense that scares you. The tough part for Nebraska is some of the wide receiver weapons that they have, especially Ja'Cory Barney Jr. Having the backup quarterback kind of neutralizes what you're able to do in the pass game. Although
right.
I would love to see some creative ways of getting Ja'Cory the ball more. Although that was something Nebraska, for all the disappointment of the Penn State game, they were able to get the ball in Ja'Cory Barney's hands a whole lot, relatively speaking.
5 catches for 55 yards.
Right. His biggest receiving game in some time. But you're right. It comes down to what Emmett Johnson is able to do in this game. If Nebraska is able to run the football and control tempo, they've got a chance in this game. If Iowa is able to get their run game going the way Penn State is, they're in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Big game for that Nebraska defensive line. And I think the one of the biggest surprises for me on the on the disappointing side for Nebraska is just under Matt Rule and this coaching staff. I thought the development of the defensive line from, Scott Frost last year to Matt Rule's first year to Matt Rule's second year, you saw huge jumps year to year from the guys on the defensive line. Year one, it was really Nash Hutmaker, right? Year two, it was really Ty Robinson, Jamari Butler. There are others in there that I didn't even mention, but those are the kind of the headliners of the whole thing. There wasn't a guy on the defensive line that took a big step forward in development this year. You thought it would probably be, I was sure it was going to be Riley Van Poppel.
Yeah.
I just, based on what I had seen, you start to see a few flashes from Keona Davis here, right? Cam Leonard, some of the nose tackle types that they'll put in. They've shifted a few of them. They've tried a few. I think Petchock's had a good year. He's kind of more of a pass rusher, I think, though.
He's still undersized for a defensive lineman.
Yeah, he's kind of more of a James Williams type almost, yeah.
Right, at least for now. We'll see what happens when they lock him in the weight room and feed him beef all winter. But, Williams Winery is a lot of promise.
Yeah.
But he just got here,
And again, doesn't look like a run, he's not the run stopper body. He's the pass rusher body. Yeah.
And I think some of that comes down to Terry Braden still settling in with this defensive line group, with this defense, and trying to find his place in it. But it's certainly going to be a point of evaluation, and it wouldn't shock me if Nebraska goes hard after a defensive tackle or even a nose tackle. They kind of have to. You think about it, Elijah Judy ends his career after the Bull
Elijah
game.
Judy's another one, yeah.
And Riley Van Poppel right now doesn't look like the guy that's going to be that anchor in the front of the defensive line. So I think, and John Butler hinted at this week, that as far as stopping the run is concerned, it's about getting bigger bodies. And Nebraska, in a lot of ways, was undersized on the defensive line coming into this year. And yes, you're a winner of conditioning and
beef eating.
Beef eating, yes. Almost constant beef eating will help.
I can help with that.
Yeah, I can provide plans, coaching, training, cut the beef, eat the beef, enjoy the beef. But all the same, it's going to have to be a focus. And what kind of worries you is that Nebraska did a good job with perimeter players, with skill players in building this roster. When you think about it,
Very good job, I would say.
The wide receiver core is deep. You've got an All-America level running back. You've got 2 quarterbacks that have shown promise. The defensive backfield's airtight. The linebackers have even stepped up a little bit. The trenches are your 2 weakest points, and we know life in the Big Ten. You need great lines to win in football anyway. But especially in the Big Ten, if you're going to do much of anything, you need great lines. And right now Nebraska does not have that. And, especially from the offensive line perspective, they devoted resources. They went out and they got Rocco Spindler. They went out and they got Elijah Pritchett. And yet that offensive line still isn't great. It's more at the tackle spots. But, this transfer portal season, and there's only one now in January, I have to think they'll be in the market for a nose tackle. I think they have to be, really.
Yep. Now, all of that said, kind of talking about the matchup and really hanging on Nebraska's last matchup against Penn State, Iowa had trouble with Michigan State.
Sure they
Michigan
did.
State, Nebraska also had a relatively close game against Michigan State. Michigan State has looked not solid this year.
No.
Okay. So, I think sometimes we do have Iowa, yes, played well, but lost to Oregon and USC. No doubt about that. Blew Minnesota out of the water. Had a good close game with Indiana, but also lost to Iowa State. Had a close game against Rutgers that they needed a late touchdown to seal. Kind of a miracle to beat Michigan State, to be honest. I can't believe they pulled that one off. It was very Iowa-y how they pulled that off. So there's that. And then let me say this other thing before we kind of go to break, and we can dig more into this later. But and last year perfectly exemplifies this. But Kirk Ferentz, if nothing else, you already said it about the schemes, he coaches consistently in the way that he coaches this and most games, but especially this game, which is what? Wait for Nebraska to make a mistake, and they will. Now, Nebraska has shortcomings this year, no doubt about it. I would argue the types of mistakes that Iowa has depended on Nebraska making, they have not made nearly as much this year.
Right.
In late games, in special teams, with turnovers.
Yeah.
They may not have forced as many turnovers as they needed. They may not have had as many big plays as Nebraska's had in the passing game, frankly, in the past to some degree. I mean, heck, even, how did the last time they were in Lincoln, Nebraska gets a huge pass to Jalen Lloyd in that game, right? And they depended on that quite a bit during that season, right?
Yeah.
Harburg had a few bombs that year, or Purdy had a few bombs that year. So it's just this Nebraska team, while kind of being in the same neighborhood of a record, they've done it in a really different way, for better or worse than they did a year ago. Some things are not where you'd want them to be, or maybe not as good as you would hope they'd be. But other things, they've won the close games, right?
Sure.
They have turnovers have not been a huge issue this year. Special teams have not been a huge issue this year.
Special teams have been a win most
Collapsing late in the game has not been an issue. So those are things that Iowa has really feasted on over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, the Michigan State game was a quintessential Iowa game. Because Iowa was down, but fourth quarter, Michigan State sprung a leak. They take big advantage of it, and they come back and win on a field goal to walk it off. Where have been the big holes for Iowa to run through, typically in special teams? And hey, Weegen is a tremendous returner.
Didn't even mention that. Of course, they got the number one punt return team in the nation.
Right.
As always.
But you feel good about Nebraska's ability to keep him under wraps.
Right.
For the first, you
got a pinpoint punter.
You've got a directional punter. He's dealt with wind. I don't know how cold it gets in Australia, but he's dealt with wind. So he he at least knows what he's trying to do there. You feel good about the coverage units. You feel good about how Nebraska's kicking the ball in terms of kickoffs. Cunanan's a little hit or miss on field goals, but he's been okay. Nebraska's return game is good. So where a special teams mistake or two would really open the door for Iowa to beat you, that's not there. And Gronowski, is he going to hit that 50-yard bomb to bust your defense? Probably not. And they don't have the running back to take the swing pass.
He does not have a pass over 45 yards this year.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, so that big play that Iowa waits for, we're going to stall and hang around and not die and not, just be there in the fourth quarter. And then we're going to bust you with something big. The something big is going to be tough for them to get, I think, in this game. Now, if they've executed well enough in the first three quarters, maybe it's not a factor. But you're right. The whole close game, fourth quarter, and Iowa absolutely, totally, completely wants to play that sort of game. Close in the fourth quarter, and then they're going to
And it worked last year perfectly for them.
Yep.
That strategy, I mean, it was like Kirk Ferentz just painted a masterpiece. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
With that game. Wait for them they'll make a mistake. We're not going to get aggressive. We're going to punt on fourth and short.
Right.
We're going to do all these things, and we'll let them make the mistake. And sure enough, on a punt return.
Yep.
Nebraska fumbles the ball.
Yeah, it's just a trap he seems
that was the
to
game.
set.
And Nebraska gave up one big play.
Yep.
One big
play and one
that it looked like they had completely contained. It's
right.
That game still drives me insane. Yes. But yeah, Gronowski, who's the South Dakota State transfer. They kind of expected bigger things, I think, in the passing game from him. Looking at his numbers, wow, 62% completion. I thought they were better than this. Long of 45, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the year.
Yeah, he could give it to Nebraska. I mean, look, as good as Nebraska's pass defense has been, maybe the one shortcoming in Nebraska's pass D is they haven't gotten interceptions.
Yeah.
But this guy is prone to giving him, or at least is as likely to give one to you as he is to beat you with one.
Nebraska
with
also has not fumbled or recovered a fumble since the Michigan game.
Yeah. Ready. There's some luck due for Nebraska, and heavens knows you don't want to rely on luck, but also, you know what?
Yep.
At some point, everything has to turn. Before we hit break, hello to Crypto King, to Mike, our pal Art in LA. Bruce, we got a chat hopping right now.
Go.
So
join in
fired up.
The YouTube or the Twitter feed where you can watch us and watch us throughout the day. Kenny does some great work making this look entertaining on the stream, listening wherever you are today. Glad to have you with us. Hey, Thanksgiving Eve. Hope your turkey is thawing. Might be a little, don't put it in the microwave.
No.
6:34. We'll take a break. We got the sound off coming up next. Friday Husker Tailgate Wednesday version rolls on KLIN.
Always free with no subscription required. Over the air, online, and through the app. Lincoln's Husker Radio is 1499.3 KLIN. Husker Tailgate. But first, your Fantasy Huskers keyword, presented by Nebraska Sign Company. From Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
Oh, it is the penultimate Fantasy Huskers keyword. There will be one more this afternoon on the Thanksgiving Eve spectacular on Drive Time Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
But the last one on the morning show today. What a ride it has been. A big thank you to Nebraska Sign Company for being our sponsor this year. Always fun to do this and just add a little something to watch for during the game. And we get texting sometimes with each other during the game about what's happening on this and who's winning. Hopefully add a little fun for you guys to watch the game as well. And then put together a great prize package. This has been great to have the Alumni Hall, Big Ten Sports Bar and Grill, and Rubidoo combo.
Oh, yes.
Significant prize, $150 prize every single week on this. And so I want to thank all of them for partnering with us on this. And I love this game. So if I have anything to say about it, we will bring it back next year. Hopefully you all do too. I know there's some of you who are frustrated that you didn't get a pick ever.
Mm-hmm. Hey, all you can do is
text, listen every time, text every time, morning and afternoon. It's completely random. That's all I can tell you. It's completely random. In any case, let's hit the keyword for today. Yellow, YELLOW, yellow. YELLOW. Send that into the Honey Irrigation text line 402-479-1400. We have had fun with this one in as much as you can have fun with punting.
Yes.
We have asked how many total yards punting will the two teams combine for? And again, this is just to clarify, this is not net punting. Net punting is when you subtract the return off of the distance of the punt. This would be just the distance of the punt. So if Ja'Cory Barney would take one back, it could be negative net punt, but that's not what we're doing here. No. It would just be the distance that the punt goes. Do you remember the guys 2 years ago we might not because you were at the game 2 years ago that the TV camera kept going back to that were wearing shirts? I can't remember what the shirt said, but it was something about "We love punts" or something.
I've seen the pictures.
Punting is what? Winning. Yes, punting is winning. And every time they would punt, either team would punt, they acted like they were there to cheer for punts. It was amazing. So this is kind of in honor of those guys, since that is a little bit of the stereotype, especially about Iowa. And so we have asked. Now, I sent Kenny our pick from last night, our second pick from last night, and it is off the board compared to the rest of them. So in order, ascending order, the picks so far are Scott, 243 total punting yards. Easy, that's the person's name, 254 yards. 277 for Carla. 285 for Woods Park Dennis. Doug says 290. And then Luke made the last pick, and he picked 567. And so and I laugh, but who knows? Like when we were figuring this, we were thinking, maybe rule of thumb, maybe say 40 yards a punt on an average. That's in the neighborhood, give or take 5 yards,
give
maybe
you a shot.
So if you use that rule, we are talking 14 punts.
Yeah,
14 punts in the game.
Yeah, at which. I mean, if you're going 3 and out.
I mean, I guess it's not impossible. If the weather was a little worse, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But also, he also buys a lot of real estate with that number, too, as well. Yeah. So,
What was the second highest?
The second highest was 290. So,
you're talking 350.
Yeah. So, maybe that's a strategy play there by Luke, actually.
He's trying to he's setting the upper edge.
He is. Well, he's daring people to come up there with him.
Yes.
All right. So there you go. Selections today. We're doing 2 every time because we have a shortened week. And then I will have a keyword tonight at 5:35 before Dr. Ken Dewey joins us. We'll have 2 selections. So these are the days you really got to make sure and get that keyword in. Again, it is yellow, YELLOW. All right. Let's get into today's sound off. Nate has been listening to, attending, talking with the coaches in their press conferences and players. and got some sound for us. So Nate, what do you want to start with today?
Yeah, so let's talk just we've talked quite a bit about sort of the nature of the battle when you play Iowa, and Matt Rule talked about facing the Hawkeyes, especially in the third phase that we were just talking about, special teams.
Return.
Yeah, that's why we hired. I told this is why we hired Eck. I mean, when I interviewed Eck, I didn't interview him talking about what does so and so do. I mean, LeVar Woods is a great special teams coordinator, and I interviewed LeVar Woods in the National Football League. That's how good of a coach he is. And so, 21's an amazing player. He's ridiculously fast, and that's the one thing that you see. Obviously, we've played against him before, but you see against Michigan State, he's fearless and he's fast. We have a good returner too in Ja'Cory. So our guys have to play their best football. There is no coaching trick against Iowa. Like there is no hey, guys, we got him on this. Oh, guys, there's a hole in Phil Parker's defense. Or guys, hey, here's how I can get it. Guys are gonna have to play well. And so, and it's certainly the same for special teams. They're sound, they're well coached, and they're completely bought into it.
So, yeah, it just plays into the larger theme of, look, you have to execute almost perfectly to defeat Iowa because they're probably going to execute close to perfect.
How does Iowa keep pulling these guys out of small towns in Iowa to become star punt returners? And in some cases, star defensive backs too, in Cooper DeJean's position, who is now playing for the Eagles.
Yep.
Right. And Cooper DeJean comes from Odebolt, Iowa, farming community of 985 people there. I don't know if he was a walk-on originally or not, but I mean, goodness sakes. And then they've got Caden Weechin, who's a ridiculous punt returner. He was last year too.
Yeah, he won the Jet Award, which
he won the Jet Award last year. He's probably got a shot at it to go double on it.
He might double.
And he went to he's from Williamsburg, Iowa. He went to Iowa Western. He was out there in Council Bluffs there.
Right, just there for the taking.
And they've been able to get these punt returners from their home state playing lower class high school football. And in some cases going to a community college, a junior college in those cases. So in any case, he obviously Matt Rule is exactly right with that. And, it is nice. It is nice to hopefully see Nebraska starting to build a special teams culture like that. That is one unmitigated success this year, I think, with special teams. The Eckler hire, the improvement all across the board, the using special teams to win you multiple games this year. And I don't think that's exaggerating at all. And just not having the just catastrophic mistakes in special teams. I mean, it's been such a difference this year.
No doubt about it. I mean, they've not given up big returns. They did have the kickoffs out of bounds early in the year, but they've remedied that, I think, almost entirely. And then they're getting something from their return game. It's not just a surrender of, we'll get it. Hopefully we get it at the 25 and we can go from there. They're actually getting a benefit from their return game, which, it's been a few years since Nebraska has. And I'm sure the example of Iowa is burning in Matt Rule's eyes there, where he goes, look, if we're going to win that game, we need to be able to at least return fire on special teams.
Yeah.
You'd sure like to win special teams, but at the very least, play that to near a draw, because Iowa's going to be really, really good in that respect. And like Rule said, LeVar Woods is right there with Mike Eckler as two of the best special teams coordinators in the country. It'll be interesting to see how those two work against each other. Rare is the occasion. Think about it. When you're going, okay, their special teams coordinator's good, but our special teams.
Yeah.
When's the last time you thought about the special teams matchup? I mean,
years.
Decades, and Eckler was named a nominee for the Broyles Award. To the national best
Congrats
assistant
to him.
coach. And I don't think there's anybody that would argue that he doesn't have it coming. And, one other thing, you think about what good special teams can do for a program. And they talked about this a little bit this week, that, you learn how to execute on special teams. I mean, special teams is a lot of blocking and tackling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great place to get a young guy on the field, get them running around, get them trying to execute at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you get sort of that compound interest of, yes, you're playing better on special teams, but also an emphasis on special teams will make your defense and offense better.
Yep.
So should be a great matchup there.
All right. What else you got, Nate?
Well, we've talked a little bit this week about the Iowa rivalry. It was something that I think the Nebraska fan base had to be convinced of, and the idea that Husker fans kind of looked down their nose at a possible Iowa rivalry. But the Hawkeyes have won 7 out of 8. They've won 4 in that span with a walk-off or essentially walk-off field goal. It's a rivalry. And last year that manifested when the Huskers captains refused to shake hands with the Iowa players at the center of the field. That was after the state troopers in Iowa defended the Tiger Hawk logo to the death.
Armed state troopers. Yes.
So is there bad blood between Nebraska and Iowa, Coach Rule?
I don't know how they feel about us. I respect any coach that's done what they've done as long as that. And I think all of us are just, we're focused on us right now. And at the end of the day, it's about trying to win a game. 2 years in a row, and I've watched them, kick a field goal to win it and walk off the field, and watch them celebrate and tell us, hey, have a Merry Christmas, because they knew we weren't going to a bowl. So to the victor belongs the spoils. I respect them. I respect the way they play. I respect their coaches. I respect Phil Parker more than probably any other coach in college football. So there's no bad blood for me, at least.
Well,
Rule is the master of saying something that, answering a question in a way and then making a counter argument and like hiding it in there.
Yes.
And then going back to repeating what he is saying. For instance, talking about travel last week before Penn State, right?
Yeah.
It's no problem with us.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. He did all of these things. And then he said, getting back at 3 a.m. is not your favorite,
right. Yeah.
The Merry Christmas thing. He remembers the Merry Christmas thing.
Yep.
I would be surprised if that is his tone behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I hope that is not his tone behind closed doors, because
I'm going to guess it's not.
Because when so many other teams play Nebraska and even Penn State, like last week, I think came in, they saw the N on the helmet and whatever it was. That's what it looked like to me, is they came in pre-pissed at Nebraska.
Right.
And Nebraska rarely looks, with the exception of Colorado, and I think to some degree Iowa last year.
Yep.
Nebraska, has not come in, quote unquote, pre-pissed. It's time to start doing that sometimes, and I don't know why you wouldn't in this game at this point.
Especially
I don't know how you couldn't.
Game.
Yes, it's if you are in any of it's time. We'll get more into this in the morning drive, so I don't want to go too far on this one, but I would be surprised if that is not starting to become a major factor in the motivation for this game. And I think it'll show, hopefully, in the way the team plays compared to the way that they did last year.
Focused, fired up, ready from the jump. It's interesting. Dana Holgerson talked about the rivalry. He was Nebraska's offensive coordinator for the game out there. He's actually from Eastern Iowa. And so he has an acquaintance with the Iowa program. Of course, he never played there. But, Dana Holgerson's been around college football. He mentioned it was a little different last year.
No, it means a little more. It means a little more. It means a little bit more to, the fan base. And I know it means a lot more to them. It means a lot to Coach Rule, coaches, players. I say this, going back to, coaching in this game last year, it felt different. I've only been in a couple of these type rival games, Pitt, West Virginia. I was only a part of that once, but it felt different. Bedlam, I was only a part of that once. Oklahoma State, it just felt different, and I had that feeling last year against these guys. So, we're probably going to put a little bit more into it, and that's like some off-season stuff and just looking at it and, how Coach Rule runs the program is we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we can win this game. It hadn't happened in a while. We recognize that, we see it, we feel it, and it means a lot to us to go out there and play this game.
It means a little more.
You said it.
When have you heard a Nebraska football coach, or a Nebraska football player even, say, this one means a little more? And it does. I mean, look, I live in Omaha. I see that stupid ink block Tiger Hawk more times than I can count and far more times than I want to. I want those people embarrassed.
Yeah.
And it bothers you. And people have been reluctant about the Iowa rivalry, especially outstate Nebraska. Friends, the population's in Lincoln and Omaha. The football players are in Omaha. There needs to be one choice between those two programs. And there has been the last 8 years. It's been the wrong program.
Yes. Yeah.
And Nebraska, at the very least, needs to return that sort of fire because and everything flipped. Thanks for nothing, Sean Eichhorst, when he said, well, we beat Iowa, but in the end we had to evaluate where Iowa was when Nebraska beat them in overtime. And it felt like Kirk Ferentz had gone into a lull, and it felt like that program was starting to slide off to where Ferentz was going to, putter his way to the finish. And that lit a fire under him, and it's been a decade of hell ever since.
More on that coming up. Bookmark that one. All right. I want to get another one or two in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've talked about sort of the overarching stuff. Let's dive into the X's and O's a little bit. And let's go back to Dana Holgerson and specifically that Iowa defense. Phil Parker, always tough.
It ain't no different than what it was in 2001 when I was at Texas Tech and played these guys in the Alamo Bowl.
Hilarious.
I'm being serious. I mean, it's just they've been there 25 years or whatever it is, and it's been the same forever. I mean, for them to be able to sustain it like they have is something that's very unique and probably never going to be duplicated again. So same as it was last year. I got to go back. Obviously 25 years ago, there's going to be some things that are a little different, but same as it was last year. Just they're a plug and play team. I thought they had really good players last year. And the ones that they lost, they've replaced them with really good players this year. So it ain't real tricky. They're just sound with everything that they do.
Yeah, same as it was defense in 2001, which I mean is completely believable. It's just funny. It's funny.
The fact that in this age of college football, in this age of football, period. I mean, even since 2001, they've cut the amount of time you can practice, the amount of time and the number of times you can go fully padded. And yet they are just so sound. They're so able to get off blocks and make tackles and stick to you and not give you anything extra. And you want to talk about fortunate things for a football program. I mean, Phil Parker should have been somebody's head coach 15 years ago. Yeah. And clearly he just apparently doesn't have a desire for it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really want to be a head coach. Apparently, I haven't heard him talk on it, but his defenses have just been so good year after year after year after year after year, and they get talent. They get some talent, but
they have lots of linebackers in the NFL. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not like they have that defensive player in Ndamukong Suh or whomever. I mean, recruiting rankings being what they are, the talent they have is probably less than Nebraska's, but boy, they play well. Every single year, it's a machine.
And this year, by the way, maybe we'll get more into this in detail, but the guys who are really causing havoc, we talked about Nebraska's defensive line and just kind of those havoc plays. We've used that word a lot this year. Iowa's got defensive linemen who do that.
Oh yeah.
That's really where it comes from this year. I mean, Sherrard's a very good linebacker, but you look at some of these numbers. Aaron Graves, 5 sacks, right? Yep. You look at 6 sacks for Herkett, who's a defensive lineman, 6 sacks for Llewellyn. That is 17 sacks from their defensive line.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nebraska's not sniffing that right now.
Yeah.
And look, Williams-Nwaneri might be that sort of player eventually. Keona Davis might get there eventually, but Iowa, you go through their roster. They don't have many transfers. We've talked about their talent or quote unquote lack thereof, but man, they get in that program, they develop, they get better, they know what they're doing. And by the time they actually get out there and they're ready to play, they can play and they play well. And boy, I don't like them, but you have to give them credit for how they built the thing.
One thing a little different this year. Nebraska comes in with a better turnover margin than Iowa.
Who'd have thought that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Iowa takes it away some, but Nebraska just does not give it away this year. Thank God.
All right, let's take a break. At the hour, we're going to give away our final helmet stickers of the year. John Bishop gone in Vegas today. And probably just walking home from the casino bleary-eyed right now to go to bed. But we do have his helmet stickers. We'll award all our helmet stickers and tally them up for the year coming up after break for the top of the hour, 6:58. Friday Husker Tailgate, Wednesday edition on KLIN.
When you're thinking Huskers,
God, it's unbelievable!
Think 1499.3 KLIN.
Crayola takes a snap, fade route, back run to the end zone. Touchdown, Huskers! Isaiah Hunter for the Husker touchdown.
Who do you think you're fooling? Nobody's thinking about their job the day before a Husker game.
Backpedals the throw, blitz picked up. Harris went out, deep right sideline, 50-50 ball. It's picked off. The Black Shirts with a dagger. Malcolm Hertzog with a giant pick sails the night for the Big Red. Drifts back to throw, dumps it to an underneath crosser. Goody made the catch, got popped. Ball's loose, but they say incomplete.
This is the Friday Husker Tailgate with Jack Mitchell, Nate Rohr, John Bishop, and Kevin Sjuts on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
All right, welcome back to Hour 2 Friday Husker Tailgate. Nebraska, Iowa, and it's Wednesday, yes, but game day is Friday. We will not be here Friday. I will be probably sleeping off a turkey hangover. Nate will be getting ready to do PA and hopefully make Kirk Ferentz mad.
I was thinking about that today. I want to get under Kirk's skin.
I didn't know Nate then, but I knew I liked him when I remember going out at halftime to our boss's tailgate at halftime, back when you could do this. Go out at halftime to our boss's tailgate in the 2021 game. Yeah, 2021 game, and somebody who was at it had been on social media, and they had posted that Kirk Ferentz was complaining about the third down by Nate Rohr, and I don't know what his complaint. He complained about it in the halftime interview, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. We were between me and Ethan Rowley, who is our DJ, was our DJ and is still our DJ, that we had sound going too late into the snap. But for the record, the rule is I have to shut up when they're ready to snap. So until then, it can be car crashes and explosions. And I'm trying to get over this cough so that I can bring the proper volume level for Iowa. But yeah, he was hacked off. He thought we were going too close to the snap, and we come right up to the line.
Yeah,
but we stay on the good side of the line, and I hope to annoy him in that way. But you know what? If you're going to be in the building, I know you're going to be cold. I'm going to need your help. We got to get after these people. We got to, because the quickest way to screw up Iowa is to get them off schedule. So there you go. That, so we'll depend on Nate to annoy Kirk Ferentz. Like I was about to say, though, I was like, I didn't know Nate then. I mean, I knew who he was, but right away when I heard that, I was like, that guy's awesome. Anybody who's annoying Iowa is good in my book. And so probably didn't hurt when I was helping make the final call on who was going to join this show. So that who knew what you never knew it would be a spot on your resume that I once angered Kirk Ferentz. It's certainly something I take with pride.
Get that on your LinkedIn page, will you?
Yes.
Okay.
Hacked off Ferentz.
Final helmet stickers. And by the way, John Bishop gone today. I know probably people haven't heard much about where he's at over the last couple of days. He's actually in Las Vegas, and people may know that, but he's calling basketball games.
Really?
Yeah, he's been calling some basketball games. And Creighton is 0-2 in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if people know this either, but there was some close officiating calls, as I understand it.
Yes.
In the matchup against the Baylor Bears, which Creighton did lose, and then they lost by 100 to 103, I believe it was, to Iowa State yesterday. Yep. And so they are 0-2, and so he's not with us today because it's very early in Vegas, and and he probably
has a busted tooth and Mike Tyson's tiger in his room.
He's got
Heather Graham's
carrying
kid.
a baby in the baby holder, right? Although we do have a tribute to him later in the show that we will share with you that I think you're going to enjoy. But he has sent me his not only his helmet stickers but his picks for today. So I do have those. So he will be participating in that. And so I'll start with his, and then we can go through and do the rest of him. And I'll do his first one because I have this player as well. We shared one of them, and you may share him too, but I and John both went with Ja'Cory Barney for our first one. We've been talking plenty this year on this show and elsewhere, wishing that we could have more involvement with Ja'Cory Barney in the offense, and surprised that has not happened, especially coming into this year. And then I think really off the Michigan game, I said this last week, is I went away from that game thinking at that time, Ja'Cory Barney is the best player on this offense.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen him for whatever reason be involved a lot. And still, let's not get out of hand here. 5 catches for 55 yards. Also a pretty good day in returns as well on kicks and punts. And so he ended up being on the kick return team as well. So because of an injury. And so overall solid day. It's kind of hey, it was glad to see you out there. That's what my helmet sticker for was with him. And so 5 receptions, 55 yards. Did not have a rush in that game, but had some decent kick returns too when he had the chance to. So
yeah, I'm with you guys on Ja'Cory Barney, and if there's one big schematic disappointment I would have from this year, it's that there's not been a great effort made to involve Ja'Cory Barney directly. Yeah, drop back and hope he gets open. I want that guy getting the ball. 5 touches in a game's a start. Get it to him 10 times a game. Line him up in the backfield.
Jet sweep.
Yeah.
Man, if I could see one jet sweep, even if it doesn't work, I'll shut up about it. But man, right. One jet sweep with that guy, especially when they're keying on Emmett going up the middle.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Our minds sort of drift toward option football at virtually every opportunity. Can you imagine Emmett Johnson being the dive back, Lateef the quarterback, and then the pitch back is Ja'Cory Barney?
Love it.
Yep. Can we do that? Can we make this happen?
I love it.
Yeah,
all right.
I want to see the ball in Ja'Cory Barney's hands more. I am hopeful that this is not Ja'Cory Barney's last game in the stadium. And, you worry as little as he got the ball. I think it was the 5 games before Penn State where he only had 5 catches.
Yeah.
I hope that Dana Holgerson and Matt Rule and Da'Keel Shorts and all of them are talking to him and saying, look, we had a good running back and the quarterback got hurt, and look, we're going to feed you next year. Yeah. So be ready, because teams are going to come at him, and they're going to come at him with very full duffel bags of cash.
Correct. We'll address that a little bit more during the morning drive. All right, second helmet sticker. Bishop's helmet sticker he gave yet. By the way, Ja'Cory Barney moves into second overall. After I said all that about him not being used much this year, moves into second overall in the helmet sticker rankings, behind only the person that John Bishop gave his second sticker to, and yet another one for Emmett Johnson. And I was kind of surprised after the game because there was that long run in the first half, in the first quarter, first drive of the game. He did end up with 103 yards rushing in this game. Also, the leading receiver, 8 for 48. And so again, not the gaudy numbers that he's necessarily had in his last couple of games. Did not have a touchdown in that game, but still, he was the most productive offensive player for this team by a long shot here once again.
Yeah, this is scaring me that I'm agreeing with Bishop so much during.
You got a second one for him?
I've got EJ, and was it Emmett's best game? No, but and as bad as the game went, and it went bad, imagine the Huskers without him.
Yep.
It would have been utter disaster. So yeah, I'll give it to Emmett Johnson.
All right. So I will do my second then, and I am going to go with my second. Let me go find my notes. I got to remember who I gave it to. I will go. I wanted to. The defense is not great,
Right.
but I did think a couple of guys stood out, and the one I picked was Vincent Shavers, and he had I think he finished second in the team in tackles in that particular game. Had a tackle for loss at one point. You saw a little bit for him, and he's another guy. And I know he dealt with injury this year, and I think that was a part of it, but he was a guy that I thought just on this defense was going to take a step up to being a star. And I'm not, for whatever reason, I'm not sure that exactly happened. And it's not really saying I'm concerned about him necessarily, but didn't quite have, I think the potential is still there with him, but he didn't quite ascend like I thought he might this year. And there can be a lot of reasons for that, but I think you saw it in you saw it in some sparks. I thought, I mean, go back to that Cincinnati game. He had that hit that caused that fumble in the Cincinnati game that really kind of changed that game a little bit for Nebraska. And he had a few of those moments, but talk about Nebraska not getting a lot of turnovers this year. He's a guy who I thought would be a part of some turnovers, whether it would be kind of surprising quarterbacks on short passes and coverage, fumble recoveries. And so I thought we saw some more. It makes me hopeful for him next year again. And we have to say with all these, hoping that he's going to be here next year as well. But that's only his second helmet sticker of this year. And I don't know if he got picked. Yeah, he was on your team. You picked him as your extra pick at the end of the season. And he ends up with 2 for the year. So that is my second. Then we'll go to Bishop's third. He's also going defense, and this is the other guy I considered going with, and I just said who it's going to be, and Deshaun Singleton during the game. And he was leading tackler in this game for Nebraska. They needed him to step up a couple of times, and sometimes he looked like he was one of the only ones who was going to make some of these tackles. Right. If I'm being completely honest there. He ended up in the game with 10 total tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. So he was as productive statistically as any defensive player that they had this year. And I will say for Deshaun Singleton this year, he wasn't a year ago this time. He wasn't playing. I'm sure he walked on senior day last year. Yeah. He wasn't expecting to be here. Then the whole Pavia thing happens and the NCAA makes its rule and he gets another year on this. I think he made the most of it this year. I thought he had a really solid year. I think consistently he was Nebraska's, he was a defensive back that liked hitting, right? Yeah. And that liked tackling. And that was good to see. That was important for Nebraska. And obviously he was a part of what turned out to be a great pass defense. Didn't have their best day against Penn State, but a huge key part of that great pass defense and a good final season for Deshaun Singleton, assuming there's not another lawsuit that keeps him playing. And at this point, I'm only saying that slightly tongue in cheek.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, he I think had a really solid season for the Nebraska defensive backfield. He was one of those guys. As we look back at the season, I came into this season with the Nebraska defensive backfield. I've already said how I had, thought the defensive line would progress. They didn't in the way that I thought I would. I think the linebackers to some degree too. Defensive backs, on the other hand, I came in thinking you got kind of a collection of good but not great players that aren't going to be really all conference types. And so I wonder if that's going to be something that turns out to be a weakness for Nebraska. And just the opposite. Singleton had a very wouldn't be surprised if he gets some kind of an honorable mention, all conference mention. Sierra Wright should be first team all conference cornerback or defensive back. Rex Guthrie comes in and Donovan Jones, as a redshirt freshman, he's had a pretty solid year too. And
how about Javen Wright? And
Javen Wright as a linebacker. Yeah. I think all this, and you did this without Malcolm Hartzog.
Right. Yeah. He makes the pick.
Who I put in that group as well. And I assume he'll be coming back, but great defensive backfield. And I guess the exciting part is, 2 of those guys that I mentioned, again, if they come back, assuming they come back, and I don't have any reason to believe Guthrie or Jones wouldn't come back, they're going to be the leaders of that secondary this year with a full year both under their belts.
Sure.
Going to be really valuable for that defensive backfield. Not even Andrew Marshall, too. One of the transfers that definitely hit.
Yeah.
One of the transfers.
Andrew Marshall's been a nice addition.
Yeah.
I went with Singleton, too. I mean, again, it's the Emmett Johnson thing. As bad as that game went, just think how bad it would have been if Singleton was not there. I mean, that thing really could have gotten out of hand. And, you know, you mentioned that he had tackles for loss in that game, and he had some havoc plays, which, you know, it's not a good sign when you're facing a team that wants to run the ball primarily and your safety is making all those tackles. But somebody's got to make them, and he did it. And he's been, you know, the defensive backfield's been well organized this year. They've been tough. You know, I thought about giving the helmet sticker to the bus drivers for just driving Nebraska away from that disaster successfully. But I'll give it to a player. I'll give it to Deshaun Singleton, and you know, credit to him for putting together a very good senior year, and he should be a guy that is an all-conference candidate.
My final one, I will give the second helmet sticker of the year to this player, and I think the only other one he got might have been the first game of the year. I'm not sure. I'm going with Kyle Cunanan, and while he did, it was just one. He had one field goal. He was 1 for 1 in this game in field goals. But let's not forget, in the pantheon of the special teams improvement this season, while he did not have a perfect year, he had a very good year. And how many years have you been even able to say that about a kicker? 42 for 42 on extra points. Okay, that's not been a given in the last several years. 13 for 16 in field goals. Did not have a whole lot of attempts. But let me say this, 11 for 11 inside of 40.
Yeah.
Okay. Missed 2 from 40 to 49 and missed 1 from 50 plus, 1 for 2 actually for 50 plus, hit that 52-yarder against Cincinnati in that game, and 1 for 3 from 40 to 49. So he'd like to be, I think one of those was just a really bad miss hit. I think it was against Northwestern. So if this comes down to kicks, and it often does against Iowa, you feel better with that than you have in a long time going into this game. And he came in, and again, we talk a lot about, about Archie, the returners, the punt block team, all of those, but Cunanan coming in as a sophomore transfer, right? It looks like, again, if they stay, that's a position that is more shored up than it's been in quite some time, and might have some depth there too as well.
Absolutely. And you're right. Cunanan, the big thing with him is he's made the field goals he's supposed to make. I mean, even in this age where kickers are hitting 65-yarders in the NFL, in college, a 50-some yard field goal is a hit or miss proposition. I'm not going to hold a miss against him. I just want to see him more because Nebraska needed to get the 3 on that first drive. They needed to get the 3 against Michigan on that first drive. If Nebraska is facing a 4th and 1 at 4.
Oh, yes.
Have him kick the field goal.
I feel like they will. Yeah. I feel like they will. But we'll see. I guess it's hard to tell. What happens so often, happened against Michigan, happened against Penn State. It may have happened another couple of times this year, is the Nebraska offense moves, especially on a first drive of the game when it's scripted. Yeah, they have had some really good success in first drives of games. It happened against Michigan. It happened against Penn State. They looked great between the 20s or between the 10s, but then get into the 10, and they have real problems being able to gain yardage. But yet you still kind of have that residual confidence that you had from the drive coming into it. And I think it's kind of an emotional, we got him. We just haven't, had the play. And then the fourth and shorts have been stuffed. And man, I don't know that it changes the game against Penn State. I feel like it might have changed the game a little bit against Michigan. Hard to tell. Right. But yeah, if you've got something that's a sure thing. And in this game, as you said, more than any of those games, where I don't think anybody, watch me be completely wrong, but it's hard to imagine the winning score of this game being over 24 points.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah, 24 points, you can pretty much sign it away. Points are at such a premium in this game. I mean, they generally are in the Big Ten, but especially in the Iowa game.
24 might be high too.
Yeah, 24 is, stone cold lead pipe lock. Like, you can win this game at 17 most years.
Yeah.
I mean, criminy, Iowa's won it at 13 quite often. So yeah,
Nebraska's won it at 13 back in the day. Yeah.
Right. I mean, whatever metrics or analytics you have for a normal game, for a good weather, up and down, lots of possession sort of game, you turn that dial back a little bit for the Iowa game, because you're just not going to get the ball that often. And for that matter, Iowa's not going to score many points. Even if they're great at their best offensively, they're not scoring points very often. So every field goal matters. You take the damn 3 points.
All right, so that is it for the helmet stickers for the year, for the regular season. Assuming we don't do something with the bowl game after the fact, maybe we'll add those in later. But final standings after the regular season. Running away from the field, guess who? Emmett Johnson, 21 on the year. Ja'Cory Barney, with the boost from the Penn State game, ends up second with 10. Isaiah Hunter, 9 in third. Javen Wright with 8. He's fourth. Dylan Raiola, remember him? He's fifth. Sierra Wright, 6th. Archie is 7th with 4. And then you've got a tie between Quentin Ives, Keona Davis, Marcus Watson Trent, and now Deshaun Singleton at 3. Don't ask me on that. That makes no sense. So, on some of them. All right, there you go. Take a break. That's it for your helmet stickers. Nate and I will count down the 5 things you're going to be talking about this Husker weekend. That is coming up next. It's the Wednesday version of the Friday Husker Tailgate Iowa Week. You listen to LNK Today with Jack and Friends on KLIN.
When you're thinking Huskers,
for 3 to tie the game right, will you? Betcha! Are you kidding me?
think 1499.3 KLIN. picks to get you going for game day. It's a special Friday Husker Tailgate edition of the Morning Drive, presented by Stonebridge Insurance and Wealth Management. 1499.3 KLIN.
All right, 7:33. Welcome back. Friday Husker Tailgate. Just Jack and Nate, along with Kenny, producing the video today. John Bishop in Las Vegas with the Creighton basketball team. We'll have a special tribute to him coming up during the 8 o'clock hour. Kevin Sjuts also will join us then as well. But right now, it is time to count them down. We do it every day, including on the Friday Husker Tailgate Wednesday edition. It is your morning drive brought to you by Stonebridge Insurance and Wealth Management. So let's count them down, those 5 Husker things you're going to be talking about this Thanksgiving weekend.
Number 5.
Starting with number 5. Well, I'm gonna have a little audio setup to this one, guys. We talked a bit about the status of the rivalry between Nebraska and Iowa. Is it kind of becoming something that is more accepted by all? Well, let's see what this makes you think of it. After the 49ers played on Monday Night Football, George Kittle, Iowa alum, big part of the 2017 game that Nebraska lost to Iowa and Mike Riley's final game, had a message while he was on Scott Van Pelt's Sports Center show, had a message for not only Nebraska, but also Nebraska alum Will Compton. Sorry, here I started a little early. Here's what that is.
Let's have some fun on the way out here. My producer is an Iowa grad, and I know that there's my favorite part of this week is how many incredible games there are. There's a nooner in Lincoln. You never lost there. Yeah. You know, there's a guy that's he's got a burgeoning media career that's busting with the boys and all that. He's Nebraska. Yeah. I don't know how he's doing after what happened at State College. I don't know if you want to address him directly, or this floor is yours as it relates to Iowa and Nebraska.
Hey, Will Compton, didn't really appreciate your voice memo on the day of my Monday Night Football game talking crap to me about Nebraska, Iowa. Didn't settle with me. You know what? I didn't like it. And, you know, that's the type of thing Nebraska does. They take cheap shots. You know, hey, I'm preparing for a Monday Night Football game on national television, and you're coming to me about Nebraska, Iowa. That means you're scared. You're terrified. You lost by 30 at Penn State. They just fired their coach. You lost by 30. Are you kidding me? I was going to come in there, run the ball down your throat, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sit on the bus that doesn't go anywhere and shut your mouth. Will Compton.
That's called a pop.
Shut up.
That's called a pop in the business. This is a man that's going to be elite in the wrestling space someday, and media and whatever else. Meanwhile, keep doing what you're doing, catching the football.
So there you go. Shots fired by George Kittle at Nebraska and Will. Now, George Kittle has been one of the Iowa guys of everyone who is really, for whatever reason, he never lost, as was mentioned there, has never lost to Nebraska during his time there. But yeah, he was fired up about it. Let's see. I don't know if I can play. I didn't hear this Will Compton one, but I'm afraid he's going to swear in it, so I don't know what he said here right now. So I'm not gonna play it, unfortunately. Will, I wish I knew what you said there. I just am seeing this right now. I'll take a listen to it. Maybe we'll play it here coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. But anyway, I use that all to set up a discussion, Nate, that we got into a little bit early. Where, especially comparing it to the first few years of this rivalry, where for me personally, it was always something that mattered to me. Okay. Yeah. And I acknowledge not for everyone else. Why did it matter to me so much, this particular game? Well, I lived in Iowa for 4 years in college. I married into an Iowan family that includes a lot of Hawkeye fans. Mm-hmm. Here's one of the things for me that I discovered pre-Big Ten days. And I didn't really realize. I realized this when I moved to Iowa. I didn't have, if I'm being honest, a whole lot of thoughts on Iowa when I went to college in 1996. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really a reason to. Okay.
No.
You know, a nice program, I guess.
Yeah.
Nebraska hadn't played them. They played them late, and then again in the late 90s. So they hadn't even played them yet
and
again.
Ferentz's first 2 years, killed them both games.
Yeah, and so I just didn't have much. But man, what I didn't realize when I went to college is they did not like Nebraska.
Right.
And, part of it, of course, was, your neighbors who've been very successful, very successful. And I was kind of taken aback by the disdain for Nebraska. And then again, when I started dating my wife and started, again, pre-Big Ten days, kind of talking to the Hawkeye fans, and they just did not. And I was like, I don't really have an opinion of you. Like, why are you? And so that's already kind of put a little anger in my heart at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Nebraska, as you said, blows them out of the water in Lincoln in 2000, blows them out. Eric Crouch is running over. Giant, massive, muscle-bound Eric Crouch running over our Iowa players in 2001.
Yeah.
And, so I like, okay, well, it is. You guys are, still Iowa. So then the regular series starts with the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Nebraska has some success early, and everyone is kind of like, and I'm trying to make it a big deal because it is for me, because I'm watching this game in Iowa.
Right.
Most of these years, because, we used to go to Thanksgiving then. And I'm trying to fire up Nebraska fans and tell them this is my Super Bowl, and everyone kind of crapped on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
This isn't a rivalry. You quit trying to make this a thing. Iowa's not up to our standards. And I was like, well, it is for me, because what makes a rivalry? Well, yeah, a competitive series, but also cross-pollination of fans. Let's be honest. Cross-pollination of fans. Geographic. And the
proximity.
Best example of that is the best rivalry that any Nebraska sport has. And those two teams are going to play a week from Sunday.
Right.
In basketball.
You have to deal with Creighton people in your life.
That's what makes Iowa and Auburn, right? Or Iowa and Auburn, Alabama and Auburn. Iowa and Auburn's not a rivalry. Alabama and Auburn, same thing.
Yep.
Right. Ohio State and Michigan, same thing.
Well, and that's the Nebraska fans, because of the Nebraska-Oklahoma rivalry, the proximity and the disdain, whether people will admit it or not, was there for Oklahoma. But the proximity, you didn't talk to many Oklahoma fans. You didn't have Oklahoma fans in your life. And I know outstate Nebraska, maybe you didn't have many Iowa people in your life. But like I mentioned, drive around Omaha some.
Yeah.
You see that stupid Tiger Hawk almost as often as you see the red end, especially as things have gone badly for Nebraska lately. And what's more, it's an even more important recruiting rivalry, because it determines sway in the biggest and best recruiting market that Nebraska has, in Omaha. And you look at the roster, you look at history. Noah Fant should have had a red N on the side of his helmet. He didn't, because Nebraska didn't get him, And so if nothing else, it's a rivalry just to keep them down, just so you can control what happens in Omaha and in Council Bluffs, where there are plenty of good football players.
Right.
But also, it was what the disdain you're talking about. I think Iowa fans saw Nebraska and the 3 national championships in 4 years, and they say, well, it's a weak cut. They're coming out of the weak Big 8 and put us in the Big 8, and we could do that and all that. And I don't think that's true, but it was something, and now they get their chance.
Yeah.
And that Iowa fan base for 30 years, from the time they got Hayden Fry until the time that Nebraska got into the Big Ten, they were licking their chops. We can beat these guys. They think they're so great. They just don't play anybody. And they got their shot, and, Bo beat them, I think, 3 out of 4, and then gets fired. And Sean Eichhorst, who said nothing.
More on this in the next hour, by the way.
Yeah. Said nothing in his tenure. The one thing he says pisses off Iowa and leads to their renaissance. I mean, it's one of his enduring gifts to us that Iowa has, that lit a fire under Kirk Ferentz. That lit a fire under his program, because they were trending toward 6, 7, maybe 8 wins when Nebraska was beating them 3 out of 4. and they've gone back up, not quite to the heights that they had, circa 2003, 2004, but they're in the neighborhood. And so Nebraska has never matched Iowa's energy in this game, or certainly hasn't in a decade. I am hopeful that changes tomorrow. It needs to change.
Maybe
tomorrow.
with the exception, we got to shout out Trey Palmer.
Oh, yes.
Mickey Joseph.
Yep.
Casey Thompson. They did.
Yep. But that was their last dance. I mean, it's bred into those Iowa players. I mean, when they reprogram them to become football robots, it killed Nebraska's one of the lines.
Iowa fans hated Nebraska well before Nebraska fans knew anything about them, other than their tight ends stood up at the line of scrimmage like weirdos,
right,
with their hands on their hips.
Right.
That's it. Like that's the only thing. And the amount of times that I have had to walk into Christmas with the in-laws, and the first comment over the not last year, but prior to that is, "Hey, what bowl did Nebraska make this year?"
Oh,
first thing when I walk in the door. Please.
Whatever. Come on, boys.
I beg of you. Please.
And for you fans, pretend they're Colorado. They wear black and gold. I don't care.
I think last year made me think we're pretty much there now.
Yeah.
We're pretty much, it took a decade for everyone to get where I am, but with all of the chicanery last year, putting the state patrol or whatever around the Tiger Hawk in the middle of the field, the armed law enforcement guarding painted turf.
Yep.
I mean, come on. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I hope Nebraska doesn't respond in kind of lets them, do whatever, have a prayer on the, so Nebraska couldn't have a prayer on it. Or come on now. Come on.
Stupid.
Number 4.
All right, we talked a lot about the game last week. Coming into Iowa now, Nate, just there were issues on offense, there were issues on defense last week. Not a lot went well for Nebraska in that game. But the matchup with Iowa, what side of the ball, I guess to put it in a negative way, is the biggest concern against Iowa, or maybe to put it in a positive way, which side, if you want to answer it this way instead, do you have the feeling is most likely to rebound in this game?
So I feel best about the game when Iowa has the ball, which feels weird because I just none of those players scare me. None of them. And when you're talking about Penn State, you're talking about Katron Allen, you're talking about Nicholas Singleton. I mean, you feel like Iowa is a substantial step down, even with Gronowski running. There's no receivers you have to worry about. Just crowd the line of scrimmage, get up there. They're not going to beat you through the air. Whereas when Nebraska has the ball, what Nebraska does best right now is run it. Iowa stops it like crazy. And especially with the weather situation and a freshman quarterback making just his third start, anytime he puts the ball up, I'm worried. So that's where I am.
Man, it's tough. I go back and forth on this.
Yeah.
Because I just keep thinking there is a moment, and it happened against UCLA. I just feel like this offense is just not ever fired on full cylinders that it would be able to with the talent that it's got at skill positions specifically. I just feel like at some point, and maybe I should, and maybe it was UCLA. Maybe that was it. And so, man, I don't know, but you're right. The numbers for Iowa would suggest offensively, while Gronowski has been solid in running the ball and getting touchdowns, they're not going to light you up in the passing game. They're not really going to big play you to death at all,
right?
Like Penn State and Michigan and Minnesota did to Nebraska. Although who knows, things can change for sure. So I think I'm going to. Man, that is a tough one. I honestly, I don't know about stopping the run. Nebraska's just allowed running up the middle is just, they've not shown success at that at all. I think I'm more confident in the offense.
Okay.
I actually am.
I mean,
and because of Emmett Johnson and because of just still thinking that talent is yet to, it's going to show. Ja'Cory Barney's going to show himself still right? I mean,
I would hope so. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska they've got the guys on the offensive. I mean, Dan Key, come on, like,
yeah,
Isaiah Hunter, right?
Luke Lindenmeyer
Nebraska's got an Iowa-esque tight end finally.
Sure,
right?
Yeah,
he's been underused the end of the season as well. So, all right, moving on.
Number 3.
Yeah, I don't know, Nate, what you know and what you don't know, or what you can say, and maybe it's nothing that you know right now, but I haven't heard a ton of talk about this yet, but it's always kind of walking on senior day watch now, given the rules about eligibility, and always has kind of been a little bit with the potential of guys going pro. Who is on are they not walking alert, I guess, for you? Emmett Johnson is obvious.
Yeah, and Matt Rule said that Emmett Johnson would not walk.
What does it mean?
I am hopeful that it means, hey, he's coming back, or they feel good about his coming back. But I have a tough time believing that.
Me too.
I mean, he's getting drafted 3rd, 4th round. So, but Emmett Johnson is the big one to watch for me, because there are sophomores I'd be worried about, but you're not going to let a sophomore walk on senior day. So
that's true. If they're transferring, you're not walking on senior day. It would usually be, people who are just, I assume like Teddy Prohaska will walk, right?
Yes.
Like, I assume. I'm trying to think of anybody else who might. Yeah, it's usually sort of about whether they're going to use an extra year, whether they're going to be leaving and going early in the pro. So maybe there aren't as many kind of interesting questions about it this year as there have been. It seemed like there were a lot of these last year, right?
Sure, yeah.
Or 2 years with Ty Robinson, for instance.
Yep.
But maybe there just aren't as many of these this year, because I can't think of a whole lot of other candidates really for that sort of a situation where they might be gone not via a transfer, because you don't walk if you're an underclassman transferring.
Right.
Really. So
and they have 19 players that they know are going to walk, the 19 seniors. I'd be surprised if there are a whole lot of additions to that list, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I can say, full disclosure, I have not seen the script yet for senior day. So
the seniors, by the way, listed, you're kind of wondering what who you're gonna see out there. Marcus Buford Jr., Henry Lutovsky, Heinrich Harburg.
Yep.
Okay, here's one. Malcolm Hartzog.
That's an interesting
that's
one.
That's an interesting one.
Intrigue right there.
Because he'd be able to redshirt this year.
Yep.
And so he could come back theoretically, because I believe he played as a true freshman. So he's still within 5. Javen Wright, been here.
Yeah.
He's been here longer than anyone. Teddy Prohaska is listed as, I assume he's done.
Yep.
Deshaun Singleton got that extra year. Elijah Judy, Derek Branch, Lincoln guy, was a great special teams player this year. Turner Corcoran, you thought he was done last year. He's back. So Michael Booker, the third, Aiden Flagg. Is it Flaggy? Flaggy, long snapper. Yep. Jalen Gramstad. Probably, I don't know, though, because there's another lawsuit there. If they didn't count NAIA years, there's, I suppose, a chance, but I'm going to guess. Now, I know Matt Rule wants to hire him.
Right.
So he may be on the coaching staff next year.
Yeah, this may not be his last game on the now west sideline at Memorial Stadium, but he may be wearing a polo.
I would be honestly very surprised if he's not there in some fashion.
A GA, student coach, whatever.
Sierra Wright, of course, is out of eligibility.
Right.
Boy, what an addition he was in the transfer portal. Kevin Gallick, that's another one to keep an eye on. He's a plaintiff in one of these lawsuits. I don't know if people know this.
Yeah, I'd kind of lost track.
He's
of
a plaintiff in one of these lawsuits to get an extra year, or he was. So he may have a shot at coming back. Desan McCullough will walk. Dane Key, Marcus Watson-Trent, and Rocco Spindler. And then just looking at the rest of the list, I don't see. Assume Janiron Bonner's coming back next year.
Yeah, he can play another year. So Bonner, but yeah, Hartzog is a decision, and
probably about it, right?
Yeah,
I think
probably about it.
Yeah. I mean, Galaxy Seniors will probably walk, but I think he has a chance at coming back, and maybe some of those other people with some JUCO years as well. All right, moving on.
Number 2.
All right, let me ask you this. Obviously, we talked about how we feel it's a big game just because it doesn't matter what the records are on this.
Right.
But all that said, how different does a win make this season feel than a loss? On paper, 7 wins versus 8 wins in the regular season. But is the distance in feel once time passes more significant than just that win from 7 to 8?
Yes. Yes, I think it is. Because remember, you're not quite talking apples to apples here, because last year Nebraska only won 6 in the regular season. So you're talking
about going to improve no matter what.
Right. You're going to improve by 1 game, but there are a lot of people that would say, well, you're 1 game better, but considering the schedule, you should be at least 1 game better.
Yes.
Whereas if you're 2 games better, I mean, that's plus a win over Iowa. That's a good jump. That makes you feel much better about the year. Whereas if you're sitting there at 7-5, it's a pretty easy argument to make that you scheduled your way into improvement, basically. And you're going to fall short of the double-digit wins that Matt Rule normally pulls off in year 3. But if you win this one, you obviously still have a chance at 9. So you get close. And it's just, 2 wins is better than 1. And Iowa, frankly, counts for more than 1.
I think a win against Iowa is part of the kind of the evaluation of the season more so than just a win, scratching another win across there. So, yeah, I agree. 2-win improvement plus a win against Iowa. And, yeah, you got to realize that the schedule, I think, was more manageable than it was last year. But I think you can unquestionably say there was progress made this year if you win this game. Squinting a little bit more, I think, if you lose this one. It was there in parts, but overall, probably a discussion we'll be having in the offseason quite a bit then.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, it's tough to sell a 7-5 Nebraska as being a whole, 7-5 Nebraska this year being a whole lot better than last year's 6-6.
Yep. All right, finishing up.
Number 1.
Well, I just thought I'd update since John's not here. He usually whines about this, but I can do it since it's just you and me. The bowl projections have narrowed in terms of where Nebraska is going to go. Now, this doesn't mean they have no chance of going anywhere else, but the consensus really seems to be probably Las Vegas, maybe Nashville.
Yeah.
And nothing in Tampa anymore after that loss.
Unfortunately,
yeah. Now maybe that could change if Nebraska beats Iowa, but right now the kind of the majority thought here is Las Vegas Bowl versus Utah. Of the 6 projections I'm looking at right now, 4 of them have the Las Vegas Bowl versus Utah. One of them has the Las Vegas Bowl against Arizona State, and one of them still has the Music City Bowl against Missouri in Nashville. So Nebraska doesn't want to play Utah in Las Vegas.
No.
And here's why. First of all, very strong up front. It's probably going to be Kyle Whittingham's last game.
Yeah.
It's so this is going to be his swan song. He'll probably announce it before the game.
Right.
I think that's likely. Utah's pretty good. That'd be a rough matchup, I think.
And they, believe it or not, they'd have home field advantage, I would think, because Utah's a whole
especially
lot
if it's Whittingham's
Vegas.
last game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be one of the most beloved send-offs of any coach we've had in a long time.
Right. I mean, I don't want it. I want Music City. There really isn't a matchup in the Las Vegas Bowl that intrigues me because it's an old Pac-12 team.
Arizona State, even though the Jeff Sims thing is weird, I don't know. I'd be all right. Has Nebraska not played Arizona State since they still have 1996 revenge on the mind? Yes.
Yeah. And remember, Phil Snow was on the ASU staff for that.
I'll take Arizona State.
I don't want. I don't.
I'll take it over Utah.
Oh, I hear that.
Okay.
I want
those are the only 2 matchups I'm
part of Utah.
Right now, it's all I'm seeing in the Las Vegas Bowl. I suppose it could have maybe in Arizona, if Arizona would beat Arizona State, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, Music City Bowl, Missouri is the only one. I suppose probably still in play might be Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
Sure.
Sort of depends on who loses that game between those two.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Music City Bowl. Nashville's a cool town. I think it's more drivable than Las Vegas. You know, a possible SEC matchup. I want no part of Utah. No.
New Year's Eve in Las Vegas would be interesting, though.
It'd be fun, but I don't know how fun the game would be.
All right, that's it for your morning drive, brought to you by Stonebridge Insurance and Wealth Management. We'll have Kevin Sjuts joining us during the third hour. We'll take a look back at Nebraska versus Iowa over the years and get into that conversation as well. Tribute to John Bishop. He didn't die. He's just not here today, but I still have a tribute to him. And we'll get into the roundtable with Kevin and the final picks of the regular season. You're listening to the Friday Husker Tailgate on KLIN.
Huskers.
That swung on it, drilled towards the right field, towards the angling, towards the waterfall, and splashed down.
Think 1499.3 KLIN.
Back run of the end zone. Touchdown, Huskers! Isaiah Hunter for the Husker touchdown.
Who do you think you're fooling? Nobody's thinking about their job the day before a Husker game.
Backpedals the throw. Blitz picked up. Harris went out deep right sideline. 50-50 ball. It's picked off. The black shirts with the dagger. Malcolm Hartzog with a giant pick. Sails the night for the Big Red. Drifts back to throw. Dumps it to an underneath crosser. Goody made the catch. Got popped. Ball's loose, but they say incomplete.
This is the Friday Husker Tailgate with Jack Mitchell, Nate Rohr, John Bishop, and Kevin Sjuts on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1409 LIN. Do you know your foe? We'll introduce you, but we can't guarantee you'll get along. It's the Friday Husker Tailgate Opposition Disposition on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
It's the hour of the Friday Husker Tailgate on 1499.3 KLIN.
Oh my goodness, that might have been a record.
13 seconds.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Kirk.
Welcome in.
For you, Kirk.
There you go. Oh my goodness. We'll touch on that here in a moment. Hello, Kevin Sjuts.
Good morning.
Welcome in. Happy Thanksgiving early. Appreciate you being here. How's your week been?
Busy.
Busy.
A couple of high school football games have been played the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Nebraska basketball played last night. Huskers are gearing up for Iowa. This is the week that you better go into it rested. So it was not very wise that I got zero sleep after the Penn State game so I could hop on a plane and get back on Sunday for my daughter's birthday.
You were there. We'll talk about we'll get your thought on that at the second segment in the sound off. But I got some audio I want to play here in opposition disposition. And John Bishop normally provides some historical audio. I've got a bunch of it today. We're kind of going to focus on this. It may not. Just guard your emotions as we do this. But before we do that, tribute to John Bishop. No, he didn't die. He's just in Las Vegas. In fact, he's become one of the country's most famous play-by-play announcers.
Apparently,
I think, if not the most famous play-by-play announcer. Assuming everyone's heard it by now, but if not, let's just once again
let's enjoy
John Bishop's moment in the sun. Creighton versus Baylor. While I was picking my daughter up at school on Monday, and I was listening live to this.
Shot clock. Carr into the paint. Missed the dunk. And a blocking foul. What are you talking about? That was 2 seconds after the play ended. Carr driving. He's outside the circle. He's outside the circle and he's set. He was outside the circle and he was set. Brett Smith blew it. He was outside the restricted area. He was straight up and down. He was set like the statue sitting out in front of New York, and they called that. That's an absolutely horse crap call in a game that's been played out like this. Unbelievable bailout call by an incompetent referee. And ball don't lie.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know John is tired of the. I hope he's not listening because I know John's tired of the reaction to this. But the interesting thing about it is it's been mostly the vast majority of what I've seen in terms of national reaction is like, finally, a play-by-play announcer said what we were all thinking. Right. It hasn't been like crazy unhinged Creighton broadcaster loses his mind. It's been more of the former. So
I think people kind of like it, though. If you're not familiar with Creighton basketball or John, like that's entertaining.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm playing it here. And in honor of that, our sister station over there, 1620 The Zone, where John works, and the guy you hear squeal early in that clip is Connor Happer, who was doing play-by-play or doing color, I should say, on
and
that.
By the way, when he makes whatever noise he makes, it makes it sound like John
says a bad word. Yes,
foul.
yes.
Yeah.
No, and he did not, just to be clear, or wouldn't have played it. But yesterday, Connor Happer on his show, for some reason, he struck up a friendship. I don't even quite understand this, with the great impressionist Frank Caliendo, who's also a Creighton fan. You know who Frank Caliendo is? He did great. Kind of like it was more of a sports impressionist. Did like a really good Madden. Did a really good Jim Rome.
Always on the Fox NFL pregame
and Fox NFL pregame,
and he can pivot from one impression to another.
Yes,
seamlessly.
Well, and we're about to show you that. So Frank Caliendo on Happer's show yesterday did not only his best John Bishop, but then celebrities doing John Bishop, and it is worth a listen. So this is our tribute to John from Frank Caliendo. If I can unmute my tab. All right, here we go. All right, one more time.
Horse crap call.
Horse
crap call. That's an absolutely horse crap call. Horse crap call. Horse crap call. Horse crap call. Horse crap call.
That's pretty close, isn't it?
I think we're right there.
Two other people doing it, like Christopher Walken, horse crap call. Robert Downey Jr., horse crap call. Mark Ruffalo, horse crap call.
We gotta nail these scumbags.
Charles Barkley, horse crap call, knucklehead. See, could I do The Rock? That's a horse crap call. I don't even know who else. Nicolas Cage, horse crap call. That's an absolute horse crap call. Adam Schefter, according to my sources, at this particular time, it appears we just witnessed a horse crap call. Hey, say what you will, but nobody circles the horse crap like these referees. Understand what's going on here with the horse crappiness. And that's what's going on with these referees qualifications. That's a bushfication. That's horse crapification. Probably some of the best horse crap we've ever seen in this tremendous and a lot of people.
There you go. I had to play that.
All
I know
those
that's
people
not
so
Husker.
concerned about crappy.
I know.
So
that is,
the national folks that are catching on to this, are they fixated on the horse crap call? Because I would say incompetent referee is also a nice little.
I think it was the overall vibe, maybe just in general.
Just the
Might
idea
be the
that
best.
he seemed 3 seconds from hopping over the scorer's table and throwing hands.
Yeah, that would. Yeah,
I contend that the best part of the whole thing is he's still snuck in some wit there with the standing still like a statue in New York, New York.
Yes, no, the hotel, the Vegas hotel, the hotel they're staying in is the New York, New York that does have the replica of the Statue of Liberty out in front of it. So yeah, there you go. Okay. We're about to. Oh man, these did not get in order like I wanted them to. I wonder if I can get these. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, that's not what I wanted either.
More Bishop calls we're going to sneak in here.
We might have to. We might have to do that. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to try and figure these out the year that they were, because I thought it was going to be contained on the file, but it's not in most of these. So we're going to go back through some of the moments in the recent Nebraska-Iowa series. Is this going to be painful? Mostly, yes. Is it going to maybe get you even more fired up like you should be for this game? Also, yes, on this. So the Nebraska-Iowa football rivalry, actually, probably more games than you think in this. Mm-hmm. Nebraska does still lead the overall series, thank goodness. 30-22, dating back to their first time that they played in 1891 in Omaha, evidently, where Nebraska lost, and of course was shut out 22-0. But big win streaks from 1931 to 1941, ripped off 8 in a row. Then did get a couple of losses in the mid 40s. And then big winning streak, mostly from 79 to 2014. the loss in 81, notable one in Iowa City, and then that 2013 loss. And so I pulled out some of the sound clips on this. And again, I was really hoping that I was going to be able to tell what date these were from. I thought I was going to have that, so I'm not going to whine about that anymore. But let's see if I can figure out a little bit of when these were from. I'm not going to be able to. So let's see. These ones I know. How about this one? Let's go back to 20.
Just pick a file, and we're going to assume that it's a game-winning field goal at the buzzer.
2014. There are a bunch of them, but let's talk about one that went well in 2014. Nate's referenced it a couple of times, and this was in Iowa City. I was listening to it while I drove to Iowa for my in-laws, Hawkeyes fans, Thanksgiving. Here is what happened on a punt while Nebraska was trailing in this game fairly.
Snap back to Kidd. He hits this one. Good punt. DeMornay Pearsonell drifting back. Makes an over-the-shoulder catch to the Nebraska 25, but he's got room to run. DeMornay to the 30. DeMornay to the 35 to the 40. DeMornay exploding to midfield to the 40. Trying to outrun the punter inside the 35. Brought down to the 32-yard line. DeMornay Pearsonell, after the 51-yard punt, brings it back 42 yards.
And that wasn't the only one. This was the more memorable one.
DeMornay comes up, makes a catch to the 21, trying to scoot to the outside. He's got to the 25. DeMornay to the 30. DeMornay to the 40. Has to juke the punter. Breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Woo!
There you go. Nebraska won that one in overtime with a Kenny Bell touchdown.
Yes.
Nebraska's not won a game in overtime since that game.
Nebraska has not scored a
point in overtime.
I don't know if it's just because of the final result. That was one of the more entertaining, more fun Nebraska-Iowa games since the Huskers joined the Big Ten.
So put a bookmark. I was going to go back actually a little bit further back. The time previous that they played in Iowa City to that was a miserable weather game. I don't know if you were out there, Kevin. So this would have been 2012, correct? 2012. Nate, you told me you were out there, and it was just completely miserable.
I've got a story about this.
Yeah,
game.
well, you might remember this, but Rex Burkhead had a good day.
And off to Burkhead, right up the middle. Rex to the 30, pushing his way for a first down, running hard. Rex Burkhead down to the 20-yard line. A 15-yard run by Burkhead. Tanner Miller makes a stop for Iowa.
Yeah, there you go. It was a lot of that, and
Huskers win it 13-7. Keep the Heroes Trophy, win the Legends Division in just the second year in this Big Ten Conference, and for the third time in Bo Pelini's 5 seasons as Nebraska's head coach, the Huskers are going to a conference championship game. They win it today, a final of 13-7.
Don't get too excited about that. The conference championship game that year. What was your memory about that one, Kevin?
That is the coldest football game I have ever covered.
That's what a lot of people say.
And what's crazy is there's the people that didn't go and watched it on television. They thought I was crazy when I made that comment because there was some sunshine that day, but it was so cold and the wind, the ground was frozen and the wind was miserable. My body was affected greatly despite having multiple layers. I remember I was in, I believe, the north end zone at Kinnick Stadium at halftime. I did not even go into the media room or to the press box. I stayed in the same spot because it hurt to move. That is, without question, the coldest game I've ever covered. The second being also in that same stadium last year.
And then 3 days later, this.
Sure it did. Our kids showed great character and resiliency in a tough environment. So it certainly did play a factor, but in the final analysis, I had to evaluate where Iowa was.
Now, Nate's been ripping Sean Eichhorst for that multiple times.
Yep.
I will say this. He was right. Of course you had to evaluate where Iowa was in that moment. Now, should you say it? I don't know. I don't think you're really worried about bulletin board material. You're worried about justifying the decision that you made. And he was right. That game was not against a good Iowa team. And that alone, according to what Eichhorst thought, and there was a lot of other things going on at the time, you had to, just because you won a game, did not justify keeping him. The context of the game mattered. And that's what he was saying.
Sure.
I'll defend him on this. I did not think, but you think it created bulletin board material for the years to come.
I think it was an extra spur. And if you're going to say that as Sean Eichhorst, you damn well better have somebody better in the bullpen. And friends, I could have told you that day. I can tell you now, Mike Riley is not better, was not going to be better, was never going to be better. If you're bringing in, if you say that about the guys across the river from you, you better be bringing in a coach that beats that team every single year. And guess what? He brought in a guy that couldn't beat anybody. Horrible decision.
Although in the next year, Iowa comes in 2015, kind of a national darling. And while Nebraska didn't win that game, they did put a scare in them. Now, you talk about a bad weather game. That one, you remember that one in 2015 in Lincoln? Just absolutely brutally cold.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that one? Nate, you remember this one?
Blanked out the
Oh my gosh, this was when Iowa came in as a
2015.
Iowa was messing with the playoff this year.
Yeah, they were
remember?
number 3 in the country.
They were number 3 in the country during this game, and I don't know that I ended up getting a clip from this one, even. And again, that my clips are kind of messed up now, but nonetheless, yeah, they ended up winning that one. That was when I was asking about Noah Fant. Noah Fant caught a touchdown in that game from Omaha, but
Kittle
Nebraska
playing
kept
that
it
game
close.
too.
Did who?
George Kittle playing that game?
Yes,
too?
Kittle and both of them. Yep. Yeah, both of them.
That's a heck of a tight end duo for any college football
on
team.
that one, but it was a fairly tight game. Oh, here we go. I believe this is a clip on this one here.
Tommy in the shotgun with Newby to his left. Play action out of it. Tommy sets, throws, pass intercepted. Picked off by Josie Jewell to midfield to the 45. Weaving his way back to the near boundary. Jewell to the 40. Still on his feet. Runs over a Husker. Knocked down by Jordan Westerkamp at the 35-yard line. Tommy Armstrong has thrown 4 picks here today.
Now I remember the game. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
The power of audio right there.
Yep. So that was in 2015 in Lincoln. Yep. And 2016 in Lincoln wasn't pretty.
2016 in Iowa City.
In Iowa City wasn't pretty. 2017 in Lincoln also was not pretty whatsoever in that one. I don't think I'm even going to play a clip for either of those. Those were rough. And then Scott Frost got here 2018. All of a sudden, it looked like Nebraska might be ready to pull an upset against Iowa after a rough first year for Scott Frost.
Ozigbo in the backfield with Adrian Martinez. Snap back, zone read. Faking the handoff. Adrian keeping himself around the right side. Touchdown, Nebraska. Adrian Martinez in there from 3 yards out. The Huskers are down 2 with 3:22 left.
And they made the 2-point conversion. Cade Warner, I believe, caught the 2-point conversion. And then we know what happened next. I don't have the clip of it, and that's probably fine.
And I feel like that game kickstarted this string of insanely close games on the edge of your seat.
Yes, 2019, another terrible weather game back in Lincoln, and Nebraska kind of made a comeback in this whole thing, and again ended up tying the game late.
Wyatt Mazur's the back in the backfield with Adrian. Hickman in motion to the near side. Snap back. Adrian gives it off to Mazur. He's got a first down. 10-5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Wyatt Mazur's first touchdown of the year.
Did you remember Wyatt Mazur scored that touchdown to tie the game at 24? Barely any time left. It looked like another overtime game until...
Snap down. Is kick sailing towards the uprights, and the kick is good, and Iowa now takes a 3-point lead with 2 seconds left. 27-24 Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Keith Duncan
was blowing a kiss while Greg was finishing that one, and that one burned and burned and burned. I didn't even count 2020. 2020 now seems like such an asterisk with that whole thing.
But the crazy thing is, because we've mentioned weather multiple times, out of all the games that Nebraska and Iowa have played in recent memory, that was probably the best weather game. And nobody could go.
It was 2017 when Mike Riley got blown out was beautiful. It was like 70 degrees that day in Lincoln too. But yeah, you're right. And then 2021, things were looking good. Logan Smothers was starting for Nebraska. Nebraska got out gangbusters in that game, and Nebraska was already bowl ineligible that year, but it looked like they were going to take it to Iowa that day until
Charlie Jones of the 35 of Iowa. Good snap back to Pristup, and it's blocked.
Man.
It's
You
blocked.
gotta be kidding
Iowa
me.
picks it up at the 10-5. They have a touchdown. A blocked punt and return for 6 points. Hawkeyes right back in this game.
Oh, boy.
Matt Davison, dead on.
that. And by the way, Nebraska was still ahead after that, but that was one of the oblique moments, and you just kind of knew after that one. But 2022, interim head coach Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer, and they go into Iowa and shock the world.
As this one began at the 39 of Iowa. First attempt from the 18. Anthony Grant back in there. Wide receivers left and right. Thompson on the shotgun, gets the snap. Step, throws toward the end zone. There's a man out there. Trey Palmer, caught, touchdown, Nebraska. Trey Palmer's second touchdown catch of the game.
Boy, they are going after the pup. No DeGene, no DeChance. With Palmer.
Gee, Damon, wow.
I liked it. That was good.
Wow. No to Gene, no to Chance. Here's the end
And
of
this would do it. This should be the game. If Nebraska can stop this play, they're going to snap the 7-game streak against the Hawkeyes. 2 go to the right, 1 to the near side. The wing is to the near side on 4th and 8 from their own 22. Padilla gets the snap. Huskers do not blitz. Back to throw is Padilla. Steps, throws, passes, intercepted by Nebraska at the 36-yard line by Chris Kolarvik. Coming back home to the state of Iowa for Kolarvik, a pick to end the game, and that will end the 7-year streak the Huskers have suffered at the hands of the Hawkeyes.
And there you go. That was the win, and that is still the only win because next year in Lincoln, Matt Rule's first year, once again, it looks like Nebraska had stolen it from Iowa.
So Deacon Hill looking to throw it down the field. Gets a snap. Back in the pocket. Has some time. Steps, throws down the field. Intercepted. Unbelievable. Let's go. By Tommy Hill. He's at a 45. Tommy to the 40. Flags come out. Tommy's going to run out of bounds at the Iowa 37. Might have a block in the back on Nebraska on the return by Tommy Hill, who gets INT number 4 in the year.
Yeah.
That's okay, G-Sharp. They've been playing.
No, it wasn't okay because.
Yeah. All right, 2 eligible each way on 2nd and 7 from the 48.
Watch Lloyd in the slot here.
Chuba gets the snap, back to throw. Iowa sends a blitz. Huskers pick it up. Chuba over the middle, intercepted. Picked off at the 50-yard line by Iowa to the 45 to the 40, out of bounds at the 38-yard line. He threw it right to the linebacker as Iowa gets the pick and now has it at the Nebraska 37 with 15 seconds left in the game.
Oh, no. Boy, he had Lloyd wide open.
Ethan Herkett.
And then,
this.
Oh, boy.
This is Marshall Meter, who's going to try a field goal for Iowa. Goodness. So they changed kickers for this. This will be a 38-yard attempt for Meter. Has not attempted a field goal all year. Snap down. The kick sailing towards the uprights, and the kick is... it's good.
Oh, my
Just got over the crossbar.
First kick all year. Then last year, it looked like Nebraska had it again until...
Dakin will punt for the Hawkeyes. Garcia Castaneda's back deep for the Huskers. He stands at the 9. Punt is a high spiraling kick. Garcia Castaneda calls for a fair catch. It hits, and it goes down. Nebraska jumps on it. Hawkeyes say they have it at the 4. The one thing that couldn't happen has happened. The Hawkeyes on the muff punt will take over at the 4-yard line.
And once again,
53-yard field goal attempt for Stevens.
53!
The junior from Georgia. 2 50-yard field goals last week against Maryland. From the right hash. Hold is down. Kick is up on the way, and it is good. As time expires, Drew Stevens makes a 53-yard field goal, and the Hawkeyes have broken the Huskers' hearts yet again.
If you're counting, that is 4 walk-off field goals in 7 years. 6 years.
You know, it's crazy. Some of the other clips that you just played, Jack, and thanks for the heartbreak here in the morning.
Yeah, no kidding. Sorry. We had one good one.
So much of that is special teams. Yep. Muffed punt, blocked punt. Like Iowa wins on special teams. Nebraska over the past decade have not been good on special teams.
Yeah.
Well, what were the good clips at the beginning of that?
Running the football.
A couple of DeMornay
Pearsonell, yeah.
Punt returns.
Yep. Let's take a break right now. I know I took a lot of time on that, but let's take a break right now and get some of
We need
Kevin's
to recover
thoughts.
Emotionally.
Yes, we do. And sorry for all of that, but hey, ready. You can't break a curse without talking about a curse, right? Or whatever. I don't know if that even makes sense. 8:36 on KLIN.
The Huskers, home and away. Now streaming live on the KLIN app and at KLIN.com. Welcome back to the Friday Husker Tailgate on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
Spent a lot of time going back through the history of the Big Ten, Nebraska, Iowa, games, but there were 2 wins in there, 3 wins that I mentioned. But I do want to hear from Kevin, because Kevin was down at Penn State last weekend. Maybe unfortunately. I'm just curious, kind of, it just felt like a different team in some ways than what we've seen almost all year from Nebraska. What were your thoughts on the game?
It felt like a different team after the opening drive.
Yeah.
Pregame wise, I thought it felt good. It seemed good. The guys were loose. I really tried to evaluate TJ to see like how he would operate on the road in that environment, pregame wise, leadership skills and everything. Nothing caught my eye or seemed a little bit off. In fact, I liked it when they got off the bus. They arrived about 10, 15 minutes earlier than they were scheduled to. And Matt Rule's the first one, and he went marching right onto the field. And it was kind of like, okay, there's the captain of the ship, and he's back home. And there's good energy. Plus, I like Penn State. It's logistically kind of hard to get to that stadium, but once you're there, I really like the setup because the stadium's up on a hill. There's tons of tailgating all around. It's just grass everywhere, and then trailer after trailer and RV and car and truck, and it's a really fun scene. And it wasn't intimidating. I described it as friendly, and it was kind of cool. And then the game is approaching, and I think some of that is the season that Penn State has had, and also the fact that it was a night game and it was a little bit cooler. So everything leading up to the game was kind of fun. It was good. I didn't think anything was off with Nebraska, and then the Huskers marched the ball all the way down to the 2-yard line, and then they get stuffed on 4th down, and right after that, boom, boom, couple big plays from Penn State, and I felt like the team just wanted to go back home.
They haven't done the here we go again thing much this year like they have that we talked about some of those other times, but that was so familiar. I mean, it felt like Michigan. It felt like some of those other games where you move between the 10s, great, and then you get inside the 10, and then you go for it and you don't take the points.
Well, I think that really contributes. The thing that I think contributes to that is the fact that the line of scrimmage was moving so much in Penn State's favor early on, and that's a sign of bad things to come on both sides of the football. There's a noticeable push when Penn State had the football. Nebraska's getting knocked 3 yards off the ball. And then when Nebraska had the ball, namely a 4th and 1 situation, and you can't move it forward with a Heisman contending running back behind an O-line. I know a lot of people are pretty critical about the decision. I'm not critical of the decision. I'm critical of the play call. If you go back and look at it, like why are teams, and this isn't just the Nebraska thing, and I don't want to get too far off topic here, but why is the handoff happening so far away from the line of scrimmage, especially when your team struggles sometimes to move the line of scrimmage? Mm-hmm. If you go back and look at it, like the ball is being handed off -6 or 7 of the line of scrimmage, and he doesn't have a fullback. They're pulling a lineman to try to clear some area.
Yeah, you know what I said
just
when I saw
get
the
north
formation?
and south. Like your running back needs to be sprinting forward, have a lead blocker, and just bully your way into that 1 yard.
I know you probably would have never done this because if you wouldn't have made it, you'd have been critiqued. And I'm not trying to be an old school guy, but I saw they had that fullback in the I formation. I was like, pop that fullback. I hope you have a fullback trap play in there at least once, right?
Not even a trap, just fullback power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
fullback power. Yeah, 100%.
Just get the ball moving forward with your offensive line all moving forward. And I would, it would be really risky. And here we are, guys with headsets on thinking we know what we know. If TJ Lateef can run the football and Emmett Johnson's your running back, let TJ Lateef fake the handoff and go around the edge.
Oh man, yeah.
Like that's risky.
The play before, I think it was.
But I would be in support of it.
Oh no, it was when they had Heinrich in on 3rd down. He had the could have taken the boot. He ended up handing it off. They wanted people to think he was doing the boot, but that was there on that one too. Had he kept it, they put Heinrich Harburg in a quarterback twice and didn't run him. And I know he was kind of a decoy. But
the funny thing,
worked. It worked on the long.
Since you brought that up, I talked to Heinrich just yesterday. We have a one-on-one interview with him ahead of Senior Day that we're going to air during our pregame show because Nebraska I was on 10-11. So
nice.
We're live from 10 to 11 a.m. leading up to kickoff
Beautiful.
on CBS coming up on Friday. But I was asking Heinrich about the Penn State game, and I remember from my vantage point of Emmett Johnson's 52-yard run on the opening drive, I just noticed somebody in the background, like the second the ball was handed off, like there was an arm move forward, like they knew it was a big play from the jump. It was Heinrich. And he said he had to spy somebody pre-snap. And the second that the ball was handed off, it had played out exactly as they had scripted. So that was Heinrich, the guy who had just taken the snap, handed it off, like basically indicating to the entire crowd, like, oh, baby, Emmett's got the ball and he's got a lot of space in front of him.
So how does that Penn State game impact the way that you feel about this Iowa game for Nebraska?
Quite a bit. Puts a lot of pressure on this Iowa game. I know you guys were talking last hour about, Nebraska's win total. They're 7-4 right now. What does it feel like? I mean, 7 wins is going to be more than they had last year in the regular season. But it might not feel much different because of the way that the month of November has played out. If you lose Penn State back-to-back weeks and you finish this schedule with the 7-5 record, isn't it kind of a wash in a way?
Yeah.
You can argue progress. There are elements of Nebraska's game that have gotten better. But I really feel like there is a difference between going 7-5 in the regular season with back-to-back losses to end it versus going 8-4 with the win over rival Iowa, because you can kind of undo some of the ills of last week. Because in college football, you are allowed bad games, right? It happens. It happens to everybody.
Yep.
Well, Minnesota was Nebraska's bad game, right?
Yep.
Well, now Minnesota and Penn State.
Yeah.
So you really just don't have the window to have another bad game, especially against a rival school like Iowa.
Sounds like Emmett, last question, and then we'll go to break. We'll do the pick. Sounds like Emmett Johnson isn't walking on senior day. You make anything of that? No? Okay.
Nah, I mean,
what
does walking on senior day even mean anymore?
You're going to be out on the field with your parents if it's probably your last game? I don't know. Emmett
has options. Let's say that. He could come back. He's loving the spotlight.
I'm just saying, I don't expect him to come back. And this, all of a sudden, should I feel a glimmer of hope now? I don't know.
He could also hit the portal and get paid a lot of money somewhere.
I guess there's that
Hope
too.
is a dangerous thing, Jack.
Yeah. All right. I won't be hopeful. Say 47. I am going to be hopeful I'm going to win the picks contest this year.
Jamin Wright's going through his 3rd senior day.
Because that's true. Derek Walker had 18 for Nebraska basketball. Say 47. We'll take a break. And
Cue the Huskers, home and away.
Welcome to KLIN.
Now streaming live on your Amazon device and at KLIN.com.
I will now connect you to the live stream.
Register to
Bragging rights means everything to these guys. Let the trash talk begin. It's time to call your shot in the Friday Husker Tailgate Pigskin Picks of the Week. Presented by Exchange Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, it's too bad for John he's not here alive because still is in striking range of me. I guess technically, Kevin, you are too. But he would have to kind of go opposite on everything of me and then hope to have shut me out and get all of them and then hit his upset. But in any case, or if Kevin hits the score exactly for Nebraska, I think you also have a shot at this. But it would take a lot. So anyway, all that said, I'm probably going to win. All right, let's get to the picks this week. The Egg Bowl, Ole Miss at Mississippi State. This is Friday now, not Thanksgiving anymore, correct? I believe.
I think it's same time as the Huskers.
Okay, so I normally wouldn't put this in, but there's a lot of side plots going on with this one. And you know what? Ole Miss has been distracted before with Lane Kiffin coaching, and they haven't done well. I'm going the upset by the home team here. I'll take Mississippi State. John is going to disagree. He'll take Ole Miss. Kevin?
Yeah, this is the Lane game.
Yep.
Maybe last one there. I'll take Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
I'll take Lane Kiffin, but not with a whole lot of certainty. And then immediately after the game, I want them to bring out a table, 3 hats on the table. Lane, where are you going to coach in the future? Just do it right there.
All right. Speaking of games I associate with Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving night specifically, I do wish this was still Thanksgiving night, but I'm glad they're playing again. Texas and Texas A&M. This is in Austin this year. John and I are both going to go with Texas for our pick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm picking Texas too.
All
Even
right.
though A&M's undefeated, I feel like this is the classic Texas. We're going to put it all together at the end of the season because they've kind of had a winding road this year.
I still feel like Texas A&M has. They almost had it against South Carolina, but they've got one of those in them at some point.
Okay, I'm going out on the limb with the undefeated top 4 team, Texas A&M. I think the Aggies win. Great rivalry game, but A&M's a better team.
All right. I don't know why I put this one on here. Maybe because it's kind of got some bowl implications, maybe for Nebraska. This is Arizona at Arizona State. Arizona was my upset this week last year, and it was absolutely terrible. They got murdered by what I didn't know was an Arizona State team that was going to make noise in the playoffs at the time. I don't know why, but I'm sticking with Arizona this time. I don't know. I feel like the Jeff Sims thing is impressive, but I don't know if that'll keep going. And Arizona's been weirdly good this year. So give me Arizona. John will take the Sun Devils, Kevin.
Arizona's got a better defense. That's a squad that really gets off the field on third down. They're pretty good. I'm going to take Arizona over Arizona State.
Yeah, I'll ride with the Devils, I guess. It's a coin flip for me.
All right. Anybody want to take Vanderbilt at Tennessee? This is it's going to be a fascinating game as well. Tennessee's kind of down right now. This season didn't go the way they wanted to. Vanderbilt it's hard not to say it was an exciting success for them. They're going bowling. Diego Pavia's, I assume, last regular season game, although it's at Tennessee. John and I are both taking Tennessee Rocky Top on this one, though.
All right, you might want to pay attention to this one because I feel like the loser of this game gets the Music City Bowl, which both in Nebraska's in play for the Music City Bowl. A loss against Iowa, I think that might be Nebraska's destination.
Yes.
So you're going to probably play either Vanderbilt or Tennessee in Nashville.
Vanderbilt would be fun, though. Tennessee would not.
In this game, I'm taking Vanderbilt because Diego Pavia is fun. And again, I looking at some of the defenses, I think Vanderbilt has the better defense than Tennessee.
All right.
Wow. Nah, I'm riding with Rocky Top here at home. They want a piece of Pavia. I mean, Pavia's the sort of guy that would love to strut into Neyland Stadium and win this thing, but I can't do it. Give me the Vols.
All right. Upset. I don't know why this one jumped out at me. It's an 11.5 point line, which some might even say is low, but it's in Lawrence. I don't know. I feel like Kansas has not played up to their expectations all year long, and they're due. Utah is coming in. Maybe Utah has already moved on for the end of the season, although they have Big 12 championship aspirations. And so I got Kansas plus 11.5 for some reason in this game. Bish is taking one. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys will also take this, but Michigan's getting 10 against Ohio State. And so he is going to take the Wolverines.
I can see that. All right. Well, Oregon State's had a crappy season. They fired their coach. They have 2 wins this year. One of them is against Washington State. They did it once. They'll do it again. I'll take the Beavs.
The
so
rematch.
It's so
weird. The
weird.
regular season home and home. It's like the NFL schedule. Super weird.
I wish Nebraska had Minnesota this week. Anyway.
Yeah. Anywho, I'm riding with our nation's Army. They are a 7.5 point underdog to UTSA. I'm going with Army. I thought about taking Michigan because I think Ohio State wins that game, but Michigan's getting a lot of points. No, I'm riding with Army plus 7.5.
I'll tell you what.
Over Texas San Antonio.
I don't know that I like either of them, but I can't wait to watch it.
Oh,
that
yes.
much is true. And the aftermath. All right. Final Nebraska, Iowa pick. Listen, I don't know why. They're due. Karma owes us. I'm not sure. But I'm taking Nebraska to make the game-winning field goal and win a 20-17 victory over Iowa and exercise the demons of Hawkeye field goal wins. I'll take Huskers 2017. Meanwhile, Bishop takes Iowa 18, Nebraska 17. Iowa getting 9 safeties. I'm not sure what he has on that. So
he's thinking basketball 6 3-pointers.
Last week was I the only one to pick against Nebraska?
And you got the point. You got the point.
My perception of Nebraska football has changed in the month of November, and it's not for the better. Especially this past week, I just saw some things from a psyche standpoint that I didn't like, and I've seen some things physically that I think the season's kind of wearing on them a little bit. I'm going to pick Iowa. I don't like to do it. I really hope Nebraska can win at home. That'd be a great send-off for those seniors. And that class has gone through quite a bit. But I'm picking it as I think it's going to play out. Iowa 20, Nebraska 17.
Boy, everybody's picking a relative shootout in this one.
Over under of 37.
Yeah, exactly. I'm letting my heart make this pick. I probably shouldn't. Nebraska 17, Iowa 13. Emmett Johnson breaks one off to win it for the Big Red.
Just like Caleb did, Mr. Johnson did for Iowa last year. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right, that is it for the show. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us this year. Really enjoyed having you here.
It's been fun.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me in.
Yep, I'm sure we'll talk to you sometime during the winter and spring as well. For Nate Rohr, for Kenny Larrabee, for John Bishop not here, that is it for the Friday Husker Tailgate. That's a season. I don't know, maybe we do something for the bowl game. We'll see about that. But I will be back here this afternoon for Thanksgiving Eve. Spectacular for Drive Time Lincoln with Dr. Ken Dewey joining me. See you then, KLIN.
You're listening